From Anshei Sphard-Beth Emeth congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of the importance of not being Korach. There is a verse in Parsha about Korach that seems to say that there's a special mitzvah not to be like Korach. Let's take a look at that verse and what it means. The first interpretation is by Rabbi who says that there's no such mitzvah at all. It simply says that the fact that the altar is overlaid with the copper from the fire pans of Korach and his people would be a remembrance that no one should bring offerings of Ketoret if they're not from the children of Aaron, and that it shouldn't happen to you what happened to Korach. Lo yeh Korach. And therefore, if you remember this, and you remember not to bring Ketoret, if you're the incense, if you're not of the priestly clan, then it won't happen to you what happened to Korach. There's no mitzvah not to be like Korach. It's simply saying, hopefully it won't happen to you like it happened to him. Second interpretation is that yes, it says you should not lo yeh Korach. You shouldn't be like Korach. What's the essence of Korach? He questioned the kehuna. He questioned the unique status of a kohen. As Rabbi Sphard-Beth explained, some people have a problem with the idea that there are people who have special segula, that there are things that are special in life, that a Sefer Torah is special, that a tefillin is special, that the land of Israel is special, or the Jewish people, or that a kohen is special. And those who question the kehuna, question the special status of a kohen, they get leprosy, and you don't want to be like Korach, who had terrible problems. So therefore, you don't want to be like Korach. Don't do what Korach did. However, I'd like to focus on the third interpretation, and that is that the Gemara in Sanhedrin 110a says that anybody who holds on to a feud, sometimes you get into a debate with someone, but if you hold on to it, you refuse to let go, you violate being like Korach. Lo yeh Korach chadato. And we see that a person should try to forgive, because we see that Moshe, who was so upset, he was the aggrieved party. They were complaining about him. He went to them. He went to Korach to try to adjudicate it, to try to ameliorate the situation. And because ein machzikim machlokas, he didn't want to get involved in being a part of the problem of a machlokas. The Rabbi Eliezer Papo in the Pele Yoetz, it's a nice Musar Sefer from Sarajevo, from former Yugoslavia, 19th century. So he says that certainly when it comes to a husband and wife, we should not be like Korach. Should not hold on to a grudge. You shouldn't hold on to an argument. You should apologize. You be the big man. Very often the husband needs to do it. The woman perhaps is more sensitive. You do it. You apologize. You not be machzik machloket. And when you don't do that, teach your children that you should get involved in fights. And this is not what we want to educate our families all about. Finally, Rabbi Soloveitchik has another interpretation of lo yeh Korach. Korach had a particular argument. He calls it the common sense argument. Korach said, look, last week we talked about the talis, but it makes no sense. You have to have a blue thread on the talis. What if your whole garment is blue? What if it's all made out of techelet, out of the special type of blue? So you have to have one more string for blue. It doesn't make sense. Or let's say you need a mezuzah, but your house is full of Torah scrolls. A mezuzah is just a mini Torah. Your whole house is filled with Torahs. What do you need a mezuzah for? He says that's the common sense approach to Torah. As if Torah doesn't have its own system, and you could just use your own logic. Oh, doesn't make sense, forget about it. He says it's important to understand that Korach is wrong, that there is this particular methodology of how the mitzvah work. You say, well, if you don't need the mezuzah, so what do you need it for? So the answer is, look, there's a common sense element. There's a reason behind the mezuzah, but there's also an action. And you can't avoid the action. The action is the essence of the mitzvah. And then when you do the action, it has a certain meaning. But you can't say that if it doesn't have the meaning, the action has no consequence. Torah has its own logic, and the act of the mitzvah is very important. Not just that the concept be fulfilled as a person remembered God because he looked at the blue garment, but that's not good enough. That's subjective. There's an objective mitzvah which is achieved when we put the blue thread on the tzitzis. So shouldn't be like Korach means that you shouldn't be like the version of Korach in the Midrash in which he uses common sense to decide the Jewish law. Jewish law is decided by a meticulous halachic system, not by simply the flying by the seat of your pants or coming up with some idea on your own. It has a very specific methodology, and you need to be an expert in it in order to determine exactly what the law might be and what the methodology is. He says it would be similar to someone who was not an electrician deciding, well, I think if you put these two wires together, it should work. You have to be an electrician to know. And we all respect the professionals. They know how it works. And we have to respect those who are the experts in halakha, that the halakha is according to the way they've decided. So, is there a mitzvah in the Torah not to be like Korach? Well, Yosef B'chor Shor didn't think so. But the Gemara, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, the Medrash, they think there is a mitzvah. A mitzvah not to be like Korach, who went against the Kohen concept. A mitzvah in the Torah not to be like Korach, who held on to a feud and wouldn't let it go. And according to Rabbi Soloveitchik, it's a mitzvah not to be like Korach in thinking that we can figure out the Torah on our own. There are objective standards in the Torah, and we can't just make up the rules of the Torah by our own whim. Thank you for joining us here for our discussion of Korach. Join us each week for the discussion of the Parsha and the holidays. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit asb.org.